So today we are gonna learn about the extra widening. So what is extra widening? Extra widening is the additional width that is provided on the roadway and curve is known as extra widening. Extra widening is generally provided on the roadway, and there is many there are many causes. There are many functions of providing extra widening, which we'll be discussing later, and it is known as the extra widening. So additional width the vehicle takes on the horizontal curve. Obviously, the while driving on the horizontal curve, the vehicle will be taking the additional width, and it is the additional width tendency of the driver to move away from the edge of the carriageway. And I'll be explaining why extra widening is provided, and there are lots of points that needs to be discussed. Okay, so let's go on deriving the formula for the extra widening. So here the vehicle is moving in a circular portion. Okay, let me create this figure as you can see here. So this is the vehicle. Okay. mm, so this is the vehicle. Okay, and this is the rear wheel of the vehicle, and this is the front wheel of the vehicle, and the vehicle is moving along the circular curve like this. This might not be that much great, but uh, let me consider this is the road width. This is known as the road width. All right, this is the road width. This is the road width, and this is the extra widening that we provided. Extra widening. All right, and this is the path which is traced by the rear wheel. This is the path which is traced by the rear wheel, and obviously this is the horizontal path which is traced by the rear wheel. So it will have a radius r, which is known as, maybe this is the center. Well, let's go on to the diagram. So I have explained about this thing, right? About this whole phenomena that's been occurring. So let me consider this as a center, and r1 is the radius of the path which is traced by the outer rear wheel. Outer rear wheel means the wheel which is in the backward direction, and front wheel is the wheel which is in the front direction. Okay, so this wheel is called the front wheel, and the backward wheel is called the rear wheel. So this wheel is called the rear wheel. So R1 is the radius of the path which is traced by the transverse at the rear wheel, and R2 is the radius of the path transferred by the outer front wheel. So you can see here, this is the radius, this is known as R1, and the path which is traced by the outer wheel is known as R2. Okay, we can see this. This is the general path radius of the path traced. So if we consider this as 0 and this as A and this as B, length equals to length of the wheelbase. This length is known as the length of the wheelbase. Up to front wheel and rear wheel distance is known as the length. Length of the wheelbase means length of wheelbase is defined as the length. This maybe okay. This is the vehicle. I'm looking for the longitudinal section. Okay, and this is this length. I'm not looking at cross section. I'm looking at the longitudinal section. That is the length of the vehicle, and the distance between the front wheel and rear wheel is known as the length of the wheelbase. So in triangle OBA, I've given this triangle, right? So in triangle OBA, we know that. Okay, let me explain it. And this is known as the extra widening. We know that. Okay, so we can say that extra widening WE, extra widening may be W. So it will be R2 minus R1. As you can see in the figure, this length is R2 and this length is R1. This is the radius of the path traced. So it's as a whole will be R1. So this distance is called the WE. So WE equals to R2 minus R1. So let's move forward. In the triangle DAB, okay. So in this triangle OAB, we can know that OB square equals to AB square plus OA square. If it is in perpendicular direction like this, then obviously the radius will be R1. Still the radius will be R2. and this radius will be r2 as well. This radius will be r1, this radius will be r2, and this will be a triangle like this. This will be r2, this will be r1, this is o, this is a, this is b, and this is l. Okay, so in triangle we know that OB square equals to AB square plus OA square. AB square plus OA square. And what is OB? OB is O and B. OB is the R2. R2 square equals to AB is equals to R1 square. No. AB equals to L. Okay, fine. We can write like this as well. So we know that what will be R1? R1 will be R2 minus W. So R2 square equals to R2 minus W whole square plus L square. Okay, and it will be R2 square minus 2 R2 WE plus W square plus L square. And this R2 and this R2 will be cancel out, and 2 R2 WE equals to W square plus L square. The formula will be going like this. And if we take W as common, so WE will be the common, and it will be 2R2 minus WE equals to L square. So WE equals to L square by, let's write down. So WE equals to L square by 2R2 minus W. So we can see that in figure R2 is very greater than W. W is the extra widening, and this length is very small. So we neglect this W, and it will be R2. And R2 and R1 will be near about equal. R2 and R1 will be near about equal. So for this R1 we take the average value of R2 plus R1, and it will be given as R2 by 2R, which will be the radius of, generally it will be the radius of the curve. Okay, so and this is for the single lane, for only one lane, as I have shown in the figure. This is for only one lane because the vehicle is moving. This is the carriageway and this is the extra widening. So this is the only one lane, right? So for multiple lane, the n value will be introduced. If the number of lane is 2, then n will be 2. Like that it will be explained. So we have given it this is known as the mechanical widening. Okay, this is called the mechanical widening. And another one is the psychological widening, because extra widening is provided because the driver want more space in the horizontal curve to move his or her vehicle. Because the vehicle moving in the horizontal curve, the driver tendency is something like that, he requires a lot more space while moving in the horizontal curve. So for that reason, the psychology of the vehicle driver is influenced for the designing of the extra widening. So psychological widening is also considered. So psychological widening is given as b square by 9.5 on the root of r. Okay, b square by, oh no, b, it's only b. Okay, sorry for that. So b by 9.5 on the root of r will be the value of b, wm, that is extra widening. And for total extra widening will be mechanical widening plus psychological widening. So we sum up that thing. So why extra widening is provided? What are the reason for providing the extra widening? So first reason is the driver tendency to drive away from the carriageway on the curve. The driver tendency is to move away from the edge of the carriageway on the curve. Like this might be the carriageway. We have explained about the carriageway. Okay, so this is the edge of the carriageway, and driver always tends to move his vehicle away from this carriageway. So that's why extra widening is provided, so that there will be some space right here as well. Okay, so next one is clearance between the vehicle passing or crossing on the curve section is more than the straight portion due to the cycle. So while I explained it earlier as well that the vehicle moving on the driver which is operating the vehicle and he's moving on the horizontal curve will always try to make more clearance between another vehicle which is passing by from the opposite direction. That's why we provide the extra widening, so that there will be more space, and more space means more clearance. And next one is while moving in a horizontal curve, the front wheel is turned, so vehicle takes more space. We know that for in vehicle the rear wheel is always used for providing the power, providing generating the power, and the front wheel is used for turning the vehicles. Okay, so if the vehicle is turned like this, then actual the space occupied by the vehicle is like this will only be the space occupied by the vehicle, but while turning the vehicle, this additional space will also be occupied by the vehicle. That's why, look here, this is the additional speed, that is this is the additional width that is occupied by the vehicle. So that's why this for this additional width we provide the extra widening. Okay. And next one is while moving in a horizontal curve. So while moving the horizontal curve, rear wheel doesn't follow the path of the front wheel. Thus, it is called the off tracking. So vehicle occupy more space. That means, as I explained earlier, the this is the maybe consider this as a rear wheel. So this is the rear wheel and this is the front wheel. Okay. So front wheel will be moving like this, but the rear will always tend to move in forward direction. That's why it occupies more space. That's why we need extra widening. Okay. And the next one is at more than design space, the lateral friction and super elevation jointly cannot counteract the centrifugal force. Outward slipping of rear wheel, thus more width is covered. So we know that we have done the numerical as well in super elevation, that E and F were not sufficient to counteract the centrifugal force that is created by the design speed B. So that's why we need to decrease this design speed. Similar to this process, if the design speed is more, obviously we don't know what tendency will the driver be driving his vehicle, how speed the driver will be driving his vehicle. So we doesn't know how much will be the design speed of the vehicle. So if the design speed of the vehicle is more, then it can cause the lateral skidding of the rear wheel. The rear wheel maybe go in outward direction, like we can say like drift. What is it called? The drift is done. The car will be going in a very fast motion and it will turn and the car will be laterally skidding in the outward direction. We have seen like that, right? So that kind of condition will occur, and for this condition extra widening should be provided on the horizontal curve. So next one is better visibility. Curve is more because if the curve width is more, then we can see the particle here, we can see the object here from this more clearly. So X better visibility is more. And next one is trailer units require more width. Trailer units means the long trolley trucks, they require the more width. That's why extra widening is provided. Okay. This is a very simple question of extra widening. So what is given in the question is, find out the total width of the pavement on the horizontal curve for a new highway with a ruling minimum for radius to be minimum. For radius minimum, we know that E super elevation should be maximum and F coefficient of lateral friction should also be maximum. So that's why we know that E plus F equals to B square by 127 R, right? So E equals to given at 0.07, F will be 0.15, and B is given as 80 square divided by 127 into R, that R will be minimum. So what will be the value of R? It will be around 230 meter. It will be around 230 meter. Okay. I'm not so sure about it, but you can check this data as well. So let's move on to the question. uh, Total width of the pavement on a horizontal curve for a new the highway width is 7 meter and the length of the wheelbase is 6.1 meter. So we know that super elevation WE equals to NL square divided by what is the formula? 2R plus B by 9.5 on the root of R. R is given, N value. What will be the value of N? N equals to, I think, 2. It's given as 2. Find out the total amount for a new highway. For highway, in case of highway, it is always considered as number of lane equals to 2. Okay. So highway width is 7 meter. Obviously, we know that. And the wheelbase, if not given, then we assume it as 6 to 6.1 meter. Okay. This is an standard formula. So we need to remember it. So 2 into what is the length of the wheelbase? 6.1 square divided by 2 into 230 plus what will be the velocity? 80 divided by 9.5 on the root of 230, and the value will be you can calculate this value as well. So 2 into 6.1 square divided by 2 into 230 plus 80 divided by 9.5 on the root of 230. So the value will be approximately 0.717 So total width of the pavement will be width of the pavement plus extra widening. So width of the pavement is given as 0.717, so it will be 7.717 meter. So the total width of the pavement is the highway and the length of the wheelbase. So we have to find out the total width of the pavement. So total width of the pavement is like this. Okay.